It is that time again, Tuesday 1500, at least that's for Central European summertime. We have new animals in the Zoopedia and we have a brand new awesome aquatics video, which is actually going very deep and, well, not only literally, but also in terms of all the details. But as always, let's first of all roll the credits, roll that thing first of all, so you can hear the wonderful, lovely commentary, and then we'll get through it step by step, and then we have all the awesome new screenshots of all the animals added today. So let's get into it.
Welcome back. Today we're submerging ourselves in the world of aquariums, looking at how to build these stunning underwater habitats and the unique life that can be found under the surface. Right, let's dive straight in. Our aquariums follow a really similar construction process to our terrestrial habitats, so it won't take long before you've got the hang of building them. Plus, you'll have access to our blueprints, making things even quicker and easier. With our glass tunnels, you can create spectacular views for your guests. It's just like being inside the aquarium. But that's a job we leave to our staff. Our team of experts need an aquarium staff gate to carry out their tasks, allowing our vets to check on the animals and keepers to top up the food. We've got several different types of feeders, so what you'll need depends on who you're feeding. You'll be able to introduce a whole range of aquatic species to your zoos, from turtles to rays and all kinds of fish. We even have sharks. But be aware, not all of our aquatic animals can be mixed. You'll be caring for marine, freshwater, and brackish species, so be sure to set up the appropriate water filtration. This system will also help keep your aquariums clean, along with our diligent keepers, of course. Speaking of diligent staff, here comes the caretaker now with our new red lionfish, Inda. Isn't she gorgeous? But our aquarium, on the other hand, let's get creative. Just watch your aquatic life thrive and grow. Even the population of your shoals will increase, and if your freshwater aquarium gets a little too full, you can release some of your shoals to the lakes in our wildlife reserves. Here's our African tigerfish that we released to the same reserve as our zebra, helping to establish wonderfully diverse ecosystems. Next time, we'll be moving above ground and looking up. Until then, see you soon, Zoo.
Alright, back we are, and we're going to start going through that video. To keep it rather short, because I just returned after an 18.5 hours drive from the holidays, and I was greeted with the early access, so I can still do that. Yeah, we are going to get a look at it. I have watched the video in the car about 1 million times. Well, I wasn't driving, obviously. So let's get into it, and we do see, obviously, we haven't seen so often the Stingray in action already, so that is our one of our first looks at the Stingray in action. We've seen a couple of, I don't know, I want to say schematic, but like the trailer shot we had at the beginning isn't like fully in-game. I guess there's some cinematography going into that, so this is definitely the first time, or one of the first times we see it actually properly swimming with a couple of schooling fish around. We've heard so much news lately about the animal's brain and what they do and what not, so we do know that schools can actually grow, and this is in this video, schools will eventually grow as well by having, you know, obviously by breeding and then having multiple of those, and then you have to release, or you can release them into the wildlife reserves. We get speak about the wildlife reserves at the end a bit more properly, because they are freaking awesome. But yeah, what you all wanted to see is that shot over here. I mean, oh my god, is that ridiculous. When I saw this shot in the video, I was like, hold on, what a second. Why did they mix in some actual zoo footage? And for a brief second, I was like, they were using that to just kind of explain something. But oh my goodness me, look at that. Then we have also the underwater tunnel over here, which is really cool. We've got that roof structure on top, which is casting the light in a very interesting way. And then all this kind of interesting light flicker with the water casting, like the engine doing magic over here is absolutely incredible. Going further in, we get a proper look at the black tip reef shaft. They have already teased that last week. We see a proper dory here in the background as well. And yeah, that model looks really fantastic. Not only in this light, actually there's a better shot of it in a second. Also, I gotta say, I love these animations of the logos and stuff. Really great job on the artwork in this game so far. Setting up a habitat shouldn't surprise us all. We can see this tunneling tool here in the menu, which is pretty cool. You can see the customization options down here. We can potentially have also windows in here. What that means over there, I'm not entirely sure what this little icon over here does mean. Potentially it has to do something with maybe scenery inclusion or not. Maybe like if you have trees or whatnot that are blocked or not. I'm not really sure what that is. But yeah, very interesting to see. And then you can also see this looks also very interesting. It seems like you can actually also add roofs to the aquarium, which is rather interesting because that roof that we've seen in the first shot is too good to actually be properly built with pieces in the game. So maybe that is how the glass roof in the game looks, because we do know that there will eventually be glass as an option for roofs. Not sure if that is the case, but it could potentially be exactly this. Very, very interesting indeed. And well, if we go further, I mean, they do build this, they do choose to have like a window over here. You can see one-way glass or normal glass, all pretty much straightforward as you would guess it. You can see there is also like a setting how you can have the level, and you know, pretty much like in the first game, just a way better way of doing the UI in my opinion. You can obviously also use pretty nice blueprints. That one looks as you know, being moved with the controller, because that's where you got all these kind of settings, and also the settings which kind of axis you want to move them on. Very interesting. You can potentially choose just which axis. For those of you who've been playing this game a bit more longer, you know that you can also not only move things along one axis, but you can do simultaneously on two axes if you wish so. So that is interesting. Also love the fact how it's plopping in, and then you can see in the menu how many different types of incredible aquariums I potentially think that is you're gonna get over here. Very, very cool. Actually, that seems to be just the blueprints in general, to be honest. But yeah, very interesting, very good to see having those things. And then obviously the star of the show, everyone wanted to have that from the first game on. We can now build underwater tunnels. I mean, we did do that in the first game already, technically, with a lot of trickery, a lot of modding, a lot of abusing certain glitches in the game. We kind of created these things already, but having them properly in the game, guest react properly, having the light and everything, the whole game act with it properly is just obviously much better. We do see the first time the animation of the vet, or in this case, I think it's the vet in this case, doing that animation, spinning animation, and then going into that airlock. I've seen that a month ago in the office. Very nice. I like that. I kind of find this good enough, to be honest. I also like that little belt down here. That's how my daughter just learned to swim in Spain. At the end, she's able now to swim fully on herself, which I'm very proud of, but that's just a side note on here. I'm a big fan of the fact how the sea turtles down here come down and just eat some lettuce and stuff, and some, oh look at that, even some shells and so on. Really cool that they come down and rest on the floor is so cool. Also some babies over here we can see. Look at those little fellows over there. Really, really like that. Really cool to see. And then just in general, how they interact with the environment. As you can see, there is like an underwater enrichment, as it seems. It looks like a weighted ball that doesn't, you know, go up to the water level. It just stays down there, so they can actually pop it. But you can see also that animation, really there's some heavy bop behind that, so really nice. Then we get a look at one of the fishies that we're gonna talk about in a bit. That's the tigerfish, if I remember correctly. I'm very bad at these animal names, but that should be the tigerfish. I'm not a fish expert. I may get a fish expert, you know. Eventually, I got a coaster expert. I'm not an expert, but at least a much better knowing. And then, yeah, here we get this better look at the shark. And now we can finally see how good the model is. Also, by the way, why do I change the volume over here? It doesn't really matter. So, going in, you can see there is the sharky friend over here coming, swimming towards us. We can see there is the brown trout schoal. We've seen going on some very nice fuzz online about the brown trout. A bit of love for this animal indeed. Whoops, small interruption, but now we have a look at the filtration system. And the cool bit is we can design... Oops, that is a sound I didn't mean to. I'm not used to doing YouTube again. You see, I'm back from holiday and don't know what to do. But we do get a very interesting look over here, because we can see that there is a bit of an interesting way to set the water filtration. You can see there is a demand over here. 500 cubic meters per hour is a filtration capacity of that one filter, it seems. So the network demand is pretty high, as you can see, and you can set the current water. This one is brackish, but they also do say there is fresh water and salt water, as you can see over here. So fresh water is the first one. Now we have that. It's just a very, there you go, fresh water. And then if we skip over, should be in a second, brackish, and then if we go once further, you can see there's salt water, and you can even add another filtration to the system. Really, really cool. And then obviously we get an even better view at the roof and the tunnel. I do say the roof, I mean, it must almost be the in-game roof that is kind of created like the aviaries, because otherwise the creator of that one did an outstandingly clean job in that curve. Really interesting. But yeah, another very cool animal joining the crew, as you may have already guessed it from that animal teaser, is the wonderful lionfish. I think everyone wanted to have that one. I personally wanted to. It looks really cool. It looks really cool. What I do say though, it looks a little bit stiff in that footage, which I assume it isn't, but yeah, the model itself and the tunnel over here, oh my god, it looks so good. I will have a hard time picking a shot for today's thumbnail. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to have a hard time. I don't have that much time, that is the positive, so I have to choose eventually. But oh my god, look at that. And also the fact that you can already set lighting in here is kind of crazy, you know. You can set the lighting from various angles, and then you can say the color editing is kind of crazy, as you can see over here. The what's that? The liquid strength, the fogging, the dust motes, the bubbles, the mist, the glow. You can set the tones, the tint. Oh my god, it's just way too much. It's so incredible. I don't even know where exactly the light comes from, because seemingly that is the in-game sun over here, and you can just set the light. I'm not sure why the lighting is so weirdly changed, but maybe we find out there are some other light sources in the aquariums. Maybe you have like because some aquariums do have that. They do have some additional light sources also in terms of, you know, getting the right heat in and so on. And then we can see one of our lionfish, the red lionfish called Chloe over here. Oh no, actually Chloe is one of the children. And you can see, hold on. This is a adult in 1.1 years old. And what I find interesting is there is a little step in between here. This seems to be like very small, and then there is a step towards a darker green. I mean, it could just be something, but we have way more life stages in here noted. By the way, that doesn't has to mean anything in terms of the model, because in the first game we also had elderly as an including step, or like extra step, which wasn't done in any visual way. So that's just noticing we have something like that in here. But what I also do like is just the general overview, like with the little model over here with that kind of icon. It's looking really, really damn good. It's really, really, really nice. And you can see there are in here, they don't share the habitat with too many others, as they say in the voiceover. So you have to look into which animal can share with which other animals, which always is good for cohabitation or not good. Here we can see the blacktip reef shark, and you can see parents over here, juvenile 0.0 years old, siblings, all the different shark models in here. Very interesting to see, very nice to see. Also kind of smallies over here swimming through an underwater enrichment, very nicely done with that like kind of concrete footer down here, keeping it down as an anchor. And then we do get another wonderful view of the African tigerfish. As you can see, that one is a school, and what I do like is you have the number of individuals over here, which is 15, and you can see the growth rate at the moment is +5. Not sure which time frame that is, but very good to see how they seem to grow. Animal appeal 328 from 500. Maybe 500 is the number for you know, for the schools. I don't know the appeal number, but maybe that's just like depending on how many individuals are in. So if you got enough individuals, the appeal might be 500 out of 500 potential points for that individual species or school, I should say, over here. Yeah, but you can also, if there are too many, they say you can release them, and this is something everyone wanted to see, including me. And this is I hope we can do this in zoos as well, and not only in the wildlife reserves. Having those fish in natural water is, for me personally, a must. And seeing that the game engine is capable of it gives me hope that we will be able to do this in actual zoo habitats as well. That would at least solve a little bit of an issue that we would have if there are no 2 gate doors or 2 habitat doors, for example. That would solve that issue at least. So I'm really hoping that we can do this. But yeah, very nice to see that they have included them in that wildlife reserve, the same one that the zebras are in, and the wildebeest and all these other things. You know, we have seen that already briefly in one of the other trailers, and we're wondering if that is the case, and it seems to be the case. So very nice indeed. And next time around, we are going to have a look at some more aviary stuff and birds, and I can't wait for that one. Can't wait for the next feature focus, an awesome animal, whatever they're going to call that one. Potentially this is going to be called the awesome aviatics, I guess, something like that. But anyways, we should then jump over into our screenshots. We do have a couple of those in here, and we do find ourselves greeted with the bannerfish as the first schooling animal. We've seen that one a couple of times already, so let's move on right to the most interesting one, in my personal opinion. It's going to be followed by 2 other ones, which I find incredible, but that one over here has my attention, because that is the boa constrictor, and that one is obviously a returning species doing something we haven't seen before, because I cannot really tell where in the hell this is in an exhibit. You can see there's somewhat of a pathway here in the background. It looks like this is an individual piece. At least this kind of confirms null habitats to me, if anything. But it's looking really, really promising, because, and I'm going to skip the gharial for a moment, this is the Gila monster over here, and despite the fact down here it looks like somewhat of an exhibit border or boundary, the lighting in here suggests to me that there is no glass or no roofing or anything involved, because that would cast some other shadows indeed, and some other lighting. So I do hope Frontier has something more in the back of exhibits, and here's me to state I have no further news on that one. I do know a couple of things obviously from my visit in March still that I cannot talk about. However, I do not know anything about exhibits. I wouldn't speculate over these, but I saw a lot of comments, you guys, being very curious but also cautious about exhibits, and so am I. I'm also very cautious. The game looks too promising and too good for me at this moment, but exhibits are something that could spoil it quite a lot. So I'm really hoping they're going to even more so hype us and surprise us with that. But going back to one of the shots that caught me looking at it for a couple of minutes until I saw what I'm looking at. This is the gharial, and more or less another example of how incredibly improved the game looks, and also the models are. This looks nothing like the first gharial, and I know that there has been quite a lot of backlash and quite a lot of criticism about the gharial in the first game. You know, the looks of it, the overall, yeah, you know, similarity to other crocodiles and why it's not too different, you know. And this is the gharial, and it looks outstanding to me. It looks really different from the saltwater crocodile we've seen. The model, the lighting, everything in this shot looks so promising. I can't even. But yeah, there's more. The lionfish, we've seen that already. Now a proper look at the details, and yeah, it's a hero animal. It's a hero fish, so really good looking. Another hero fish, obviously, is the shark, the black tip one. And then we also have our wonderful look at the spotted eagle ray, and we do get another returning species with the springbok, that little cutie one, and last but not least the already mentioned tigerfish, the African tigerfish to be more precise, and that one obviously comes as another schooling animal. Okay, so before I am ending this video, I want to go quickly back to, it doesn't matter, let's use that shot over here, potentially because that might also be the African savanna. This video and this overall look into the awesome aquatics got me even more so hyped up in comparison oh sorry, in connection with last week's leopard video, I have a feeling wildlife reserves get much bigger and much more important than we may already think they will. So I am holding back a little bit, but I will prepare a video for the wildlife reserves coming days, because for myself, I have said I wait until I have more news, and I do feel like I have enough news now to make a video about that. Another one that I do not know anything else about. So Frontier has done a great job at giving us a lot of info up front, but really keeping a lot of secrets to themselves, which is very good and very promising. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that little overview. Hopefully I wasn't too tired to do it. And now I will go and have my well-deserved rest. I hope you guys hype this video, enjoy this video, watch this video, share it with friends if you haven't already. And we see each other very soon again. There are some videos scheduled, so you don't get a drain over the next couple days before I get back into doing some videos. But give me a moment of rest, because I have to go back to work tomorrow already, which is kind of absurd, but I have to. So yeah, have a good time. Thank you so much as always for watching, and I hope you guys are as excited as I am, because oh my god, every single video is getting me more and more so excited. See you then, have a good time, and bye.